How I Beat Poverty and Succeeded. Welcome, dear friend. Today, I will share with you a journey that is close to my heart. It is a story of struggles, tears, and triumphs. A story about how I fought against the waves of poverty, loss, and failure to reach a place where I can finally say, I made it. As you read, remember this beautiful thought. No matter how hard life gets, the light at the end of the tunnel is always closer than you think. Let me take you back to the hidden secrets of my life, things I never told anyone. I grew up in a small town in the heart of the United States, where the struggle to make ends meet was a daily battle. My family didn't have much. We lived in a modest house with peeling paint and a leaky roof. My parents worked long hours just to keep food on the table. But despite their best efforts, the weight of financial stress never seemed to lift. I remember my mother always looking tired, her hands rough from working multiple jobs, and my father's quiet sighs when he thought no one was listening. The hardest part was seeing my parents' pain, but knowing there was nothing I could do to help. I was just a kid, with dreams as big as the sky, but a reality that felt small and suffocating. Every time I saw a friend with a new toy or a new pair of shoes, it stung. I wanted to be like them, but I knew deep down that my family could barely afford the necessities, let alone luxuries. Yet, there was a part of me that refused to give up hope. I'll never forget the day my world seemed to crumble. It was the day we lost my mother. She had been battling a chronic illness for years, but we didn't expect her to go so soon. The grief was overwhelming. I remember sitting in the hospital, my heart torn apart as I watched her slip away. I never told her how much I loved her or how thankful I was for everything she had sacrificed for me. I felt like I had failed her, like I hadn't been there enough when she needed me most. Her death left a void in my life that nothing seemed to fill. I felt lost and alone. I had always looked up to her as my pillar of strength, and without her, I didn't know how to stand. It was during this period of mourning that I experienced the most profound moment of clarity in my life. I realized that life was fragile, and if I wanted to change my fate, I had to start by believing in myself. I couldn't keep blaming the world or my circumstances for my failures. It was time to fight. But even in my darkest days, there were signs of hope. One day, I found an old letter from my mother. It was something she had written to me years ago, a message that had never reached me until now. In that letter, she had shared her dreams for me, hopes that I would rise above the struggles and make something of myself. It was like a light bulb went off in my mind. I couldn't let her dreams die with her. I had to fight for them. So I made a decision. I would change my life. I started with small steps, taking on part-time jobs after school, saving every penny I could. It wasn't easy. There were times when I wanted to give up, when the pressure felt too much. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, feeling like I was fighting a losing battle. But something inside me kept pushing me forward. I also Had to confront my own fears. I wasn't good enough, I thought. I didn't have the right connections, the right skills. I was just another kid from a poor family, destined to stay stuck in the same cycle of struggle. But one evening, after yet another failure and an interview, I sat in my room, staring at the walls, when a realization hit me. Failure is not the end, it's part of the process. The only way to truly fail was to stop trying. That moment changed everything. I went out and started applying for internships, reaching out to mentors and improving my skills. Slowly but surely, things began to change. I secured a job that allowed me to start supporting myself, and soon after, I began my first business. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't easy, but I was doing it. I was climbing out of the pit of poverty, one step at a time. But just when I thought things were finally looking up, life threw me another curveball. My best friend, who had been with me through thick and thin, betrayed me. They took advantage of my trust and left me stranded when I needed them most. The heartbreak was crushing. I thought about all the late nights we had spent dreaming of a better future together, only for them to turn their back on me when the going got tough. It hurt deeply. But I realized that not everyone who starts with you will finish with you. I learned to let go, not just of my friend, but of the bitterness that came with the betrayal. Holding on to that pain would only weigh me down. I focused on what I could control, my own success. Over time, I rebuilt my life, learning valuable lessons from both my triumphs and my failures. I started to see that the struggles I faced were shaping me into a stronger, more resilient person. I won't lie and say that it was easy. There were days when I felt like giving up, when the weight of everything seemed unbearable. But every time I reached my lowest point, I remembered my mother's letter. I remembered her hope for me, and that gave me the strength to rise again as I stand here today, looking back at how far I've come. I can't help but feel a mixture of pride and sadness, proud because I've achieved things I never thought possible. Sad because some of the people I loved, the ones who helped me get here, are no longer with me. But I carry their memories with me, and I know they would be proud too. I've learned that success is not just about the money or the accolades. It's about the journey, the growth, and the strength you find within yourself when you face adversity head on. It's about never giving up, even when the world tells you that you're not enough. I've faced loss, heartbreak, betrayal, and failure, but each of those experiences taught me something valuable. They shaped me into who I am today. And now, as I look forward to the future, I know that the best is yet to come. The road ahead may still have its challenges, but I have the strength to face them. I am not defined by my past. I am defined by my ability to rise, to keep going, and to never give up on my dreams. To anyone out there who is struggling, who feels like they are stuck in a cycle they can't escape, I want to say this: don't give up. the light at the end of the tunnel is real, and it's closer than you think. Keep fighting. Keep believing in yourself. And one day, you'll look back and see just how far you've come. And so, the story continues. Life is full of struggles, but it's also full of hope, healing, and growth. I have learned that even in the darkest moments, we are never truly alone. There is always a way out, a way forward, as long as we keep moving toward the light. There were moments that tested my resolve, moments when the world seemed too heavy to bear. But it was in those moments that I found my true strength, the strength I never knew I had. I learned that the road to success isn't just about what you achieve, but about who you become along the way. One of the hardest challenges I faced was the pressure to fit in. Growing up in a town where everyone seemed to have it all together, I often felt like an outsider. I wasn't like the others. My clothes were secondhand, my family didn't drive the latest cars, and my house was old and falling apart. There were days when I felt invisible. Like no matter how hard I tried, I would never be good enough to be a part of their world. It was at this point that I realized something crucial. I didn't need to fit in. I didn't need to be like anyone else. My journey was my own, and it was shaped by the struggles and experiences that made me who I was. The moment I stopped trying to meet others' expectations and started following my own path was the moment everything changed. I embraced my uniqueness, my flaws, and my imperfections, and it was liberating. But this journey wasn't just about personal growth. It was about healing from the pain I had carried for so long. There were nights when I cried, missing the people I had lost, especially my mother. Her absence left a hole in my heart that nothing seemed to fill. I longed to hear her voice, to feel her embrace, and to hear her tell me once again that everything would be okay. One of the most emotional moments I had on this journey was when I returned to my childhood home. It had been years since I had set foot there, but the memories flooded back as soon as I opened the door. I could still smell the familiar scent of my mother's cooking, and I could almost hear the sound of her laughter echoing through the walls. It was a bittersweet moment, one that brought tears to my eyes. I had made it this far, but the memories of her were still so raw. It was in that moment of vulnerability that I realized how far I had come. I had turned my pain into purpose, my grief into strength. My mother's dreams for me had become my own, and I was living them out every day. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. But success, I soon learned, isn't just about financial stability. It's about the relationships we build, the people who walk with us through the storm. And for me, that meant facing the disappointment of losing friends along the way. There were times when I felt betrayed, when those I loved the most turned their backs on me. I had to learn to let go, to accept that not everyone was meant to be a part of my journey. One such betrayal came from a close friend who I had trusted with my heart. I had always been there for them, through thick and thin. But when it mattered most, They left me when I needed them the most. The heartbreak was unbearable. I cried for days, questioning everything I thought I knew about loyalty and friendship. But over time, I realized that sometimes people come into our lives to teach us valuable lessons, and then they leave, and that's okay. Through the pain, I discovered a deeper sense of self-worth. I learned that true friendship is not about how much someone can give you, but about how much you are willing to give to others, even when it's hard. I learned that the people who truly matter will always be there for you, no matter what. As I stood on the precipice of my success, looking at everything I had accomplished, I couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and sadness. Pride for the life I had built from the ashes of my past, and sadness for the loved ones I had lost along the way. My heart ached for the people who weren't here to see the person I had become. But I knew in my heart that they would be proud of me. And then, one day, I received a message that changed everything. It was from an old friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. The message simply read, "I'm sorry for everything. I've always believed in you." Tears welled up in my eyes as I read those words. It was a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is always a chance for healing and forgiveness. The past could never be undone, but the future was still in my hands. This moment of reconciliation taught me something invaluable. Healing isn't a linear process. It's messy, unpredictable, and sometimes it takes years. But as long as we are open to growth and change, we can heal, we can forgive, and we can move forward, stronger than ever before. Looking back, I realized that the path I took wasn't just about beating poverty or finding success. It was about learning to love myself, despite my flaws, embracing my struggles as part of my story, and never losing hope. It was about understanding that success is not the absence of hardship, but the ability to rise above it, again and again. There were days when I wanted to give up, when the weight of my past seemed too heavy to carry. But in those moments, I remembered the people I had lost, the lessons I had learned, and the dreams I had vowed to chase. I realized that every step I took, no matter how small, was a victory. And with each victory, I got closer to the person I was meant to be. As I stand here today, I am not the same person who started this journey. I am stronger, wiser, and more grateful than I could have ever imagined. And I know that the best is yet to come. The road ahead will still have its challenges, but I am ready for them because I have already overcome so much. To anyone reading this, I want to leave you with one final thought. No matter how hard life gets, you are capable of greatness. The pain you are experiencing today will not define you. It will refine you. And when you finally reach the place where your dreams become reality, you will look back and see that every struggle was worth it. This story is not just mine. It belongs to anyone who has ever faced hardship, loss, or failure. It's a story of resilience, of finding the strength to rise again, no matter how many times you fall. Life may be hard, but with every step forward, you are closer to your dreams. Keep moving, keep fighting, and one day you will look back and realize that you have not only beaten poverty, you have conquered life itself.